To God, we call upon your wisdom, favor, and blessing as we execute the responsibilities you have bestowed on us today. We seek your guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just, fair, and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Okay, once again, good morning. Yeah, this morning we have our candidates ready, and our first candidate is Vincent Kimosop. Please bring Vincent in. Thank you. Mr. Kimosov, welcome. Please have a seat. Have a seat. That seat can be adjusted upwards. To. Okay. Yeah. My name is Nelson Makanda. I am the chair of this selection panel, and we wish to thank you for showing your interest in the position that we advertised, and to congratulate you for being shortlisted for the same. You do have a pen and a paper there that you can use, and sometimes water becomes helpful just in case you need it. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves to you. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Kimosop.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Kiome. I am the Vice Chair of this selection panel. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you for your interview session.
Thanks, Linda.
Karibu sana.
Appreciate.
Vincent, how are you?
Salama sana.
Yeah, jina langu ni Andrew Tanui.
Andrew.
Mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi na karibu.
Asante.
Good morning, Vincent. Caroline Kituku, karibu sana.
Good morning, Kimutai Kimosop.
Good morning, Prof. How are you?
My name is Adam Solo, the member of the selection.
Pleasure meeting you, Prof.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Asante sana.
Good morning, Mr. Kimosop.
Good morning, Balozi. How are you?
I'm okay. Karibu sana.
Oh, nice to see you.
Nice to see you also. It's been a long time.
Okay. I plead the fifth.
My name is Koki Muli Grino, as you know,
yes.
And karibu sana. I'm a member of the panel.
Asante, Balozi.
Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you.
Asante.
I do wish to invite you now, Kimosov, to highlight those significant things about your profile. We have read your CV, certainly, but there are many people who will be watching this who do not know you. So help us to know you and to hear who you are and why you are suitable for this position. Indicate to us whether you are a member of any professional group.
Okay.
You and I belong to one professional group that we share. And then also mention if you have any awards that you have received in the course of life. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning once again. I want to really say a big thanks for the opportunity to appear before this panel. Chair, this is the second time I'm appearing in a similar panel to select officers of the Commission. I am prayerful and hopeful that I will find favor through this panel to be able to serve this country as a member of the IEBC. My name is Vincent Kimutai Kimosop, 44 years of age. I was born in Baringo County. I went to school in the county, started my school in a public school called Bartaragon, actually Kalel, and then Bartaragon. Then from there, I transitioned to high school, went to the university. For my undergraduate, I went to Moi University. I studied economics. And then for my master's program, I studied at the University of Nairobi. I have a master's in diplomacy and international studies. My professional life in terms of, I began work chair at the Institute of Economic Affairs, which is really a public, a think tank that thinks through public issues to present possible policy alternatives to public policy engagement. Chair the Institute of Economic Affairs, we were able to, I was in the Futures program, where we were using futures methodologies like visioning, strategy, and scenarios building to inform and shape public policy. We started the journey. I just want to cite one thing which may be relevant to this work, whereby we helped the Kabete constituency after the passage of the CDF Act to come and conceptualize its strategic plan. Today, when I see it as a good tool for many constituencies, the foundations we laid there. Their transition chair to Transparency International, where I was in the research program coming up with tools to help shape and fight corruption at Transparency International. I was privileged to grow to the level whereby I was chosen to be an advisor. When the NAC government came into power, they established the GJ program, Governance, Justice, Law and Order Sector Reform Program, and I served as one of the advisors to the reform program. Through that work, Chair, we were able to help public institutions that were really keen on confronting corruption. KCB, KPA, among them. And then from there, Chair, I transitioned to the International Institute for Legislative Affairs, where I was working with Parliament, particularly to solve public problems that required legislative interventions. And Chair, I think with a lot of humility, I'm happy at the Institute of Economic, at the International Institute for Legislative Affairs, some of our groundbreaking work, just will cite a few. Today, when you see the public, the buses that are painted yellow, I led that advocacy work. We also, I was able to lead the work that led to the establishment of the unclaimed financial assets regime in the country. It is the only one in the African continent. The only other country that has an unclaimed assets regime is the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. And we only have that in the African continent. And leading that process and giving the country a regime that required us to establish a framework for leveraging ICT. And some of the things that we were able to do, Chair, was that from a governance perspective, conceptualizing an institution, working with the colleagues in Treasury, ensuring the institution is well funded. We only served for 2 years, 7 months, but in 2 years, 7 months, we managed to raise 5.6 billion, mobilize for 5.6 billion. Then we were able to be awarded under Mwongozo as when we were evaluated as we had a score of a board of over 90%. I think as chair of the 360 evaluation, we had done so well. I think I had a score of 94. The other thing, we employed Kenyans. We won an award for the most innovative use of ICT in public service. And then from the other things that also did at the IILA was the work around really is fixing the excise regime in terms of taxation to address public health issues. From IILA, I transitioned to the Tax Justice Network Africa. We are supporting 3 African countries to fix their tax regimes: Kenya, DRC, Nigeria, and Zambia. I also have had a stint in consulting Just trying to summarize, because I have presented my profile. I've also worked with the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, which is a platform to articulate and promote Article 45 of the Constitution. That work, Chair, has led to the establishment of a model that is now being replicated in the African continent. So if I can just stop there and then highlight, Chair, with your permission, why I feel I would want to make a contribution to the IEBC. And Chair, if you'd permit me, because by now there are many things that have been spoken about the commission, what can be done. If I can spend some time to highlight what are the things that I believe we've done, we will be able to secure a good election in 2027 and beyond. When it comes to election in 2002, I was a polling clerk at AIC Visual. We had 3 streams. We had the 3 positions, the civic, parliamentary, and the presidential. And in our stream number 3, because of the interest that I had in elections, of course, by age, I could not be an assistant presiding or even a presiding officer. But we did so well in our stream, Chair, that everything tallied. The number of voters that came in, the ballot papers, all the way to the counting, and we finished everything on time. And I remember I remember the presiding of coming and checking before the finalization, and the assistant presiding officer said, "Hey, this young man has really helped us," and we're able to replicate that in the 3 streams. And Chair, I want to say something, that when the right thing happens, you don't need a referendum to know when the right things happens. Because I remember by the time we're getting to the 3rd stream, the members of the public could actually clap because they could see that these people are doing the right thing. That was in 2002, 2007. I was an election observer. Then 2013, of course, now in the different organizations, I was a resource person supporting the KNICE program. That's the Kenya National Civic Education Program. That time we had also gone through the referendum, did a lot of civic education in churches, on TV. And of course, in the course of that work, I've interacted with some of the, even including Ambassador. I remember having an intellectual conversation one time with the Prof when during the US election. So I've been followed this process in training, being a resource person. In 2013, I was a resource person for different organizations, the media houses, locally and internationally. I remember I was the resident analyst for BBC, looking at it in Swahili, in English, just explaining what is happening. In 2017, I was providing technical support for IRCK, that is the Interreligious Council. I think it's nominated representatives to the panel. You remember, of course, what transpired in 2017, doing training, mapping out how the religious sector could actually speak to the situation that we're in. I would cite an example in the course of this conversation about the power of effective stakeholder engagement that is informed and supported on how it has helped transition and speak to the electoral process. That, of course, in 2022, I have been engaging. I remember working closely with as a resource person for NCCK, doing a presentation in Muranga County, and one of the county manager actually challenged me, says, "Vincent, with all this work that you're doing and supporting this work, why don't you consider applying it?" And I said, I will make and reflect on it. And Chair, I am before you today. And God willing, if I find favor before you, we will deliver a good election for the country in 2027. So I look forward to an interaction. That's my small introduction, including why I believe. On award, Chair, I have not won an award. My reward is in heaven. I hope one day that will happen. But of course, there are commendations from time to time for excellent service that we have done. I want to say this, Chair, if I just want to say this, my experience in working with institutions, public institutions, locally, Pan-African organizations, all the way to the UN institution, has given me one thing that I'd want to make a case before this panel. The future of Africa is in building good institutions at the national level and at the Pan-African level. I have looked at the IEBC and I have mirrored the work with the UN processes. If you look at the progression in the health space, in the financial space, and in the election space, if we do good work, the work of the IEBC can actually help shape the development and the deepening of the democratic process and its institutions in Africa, and also globally through the association that brings together organizations that EMBs, that's election management bodies. I think the others chair I would share as the conversation goes on.
Thank you very much, Linda.
Mr. Kimuso, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have seen you have an award for Moi University Students Merit Award, which you were given in the year 2005. That is also an award.
Oh, I see. I think maybe my understanding of award was state commendation, EBS. So I am the prof is here, so I have to be very factual. But yes, if that is includes the awards, then I can be able to.
For state commendation,
yes.
it will
I
come
see.
at the right time.
Are we allowed to? We are in the Easter season. Like, are we allowed to say amen? But now that a proclamation has been made.
Okay, thank you. That was on a lighter note, but just to acknowledge that you have an award and to clarify it for purposes of our assessment.
Thanks.
Now, the IBC requires a diversity of skills among its members.
Yes.
So, in line with that, what unique competencies and experiences do you bring to the table in the event that you are taken up as an IBC commissioner?
Thanks, Linda. Quite vast skill sets that I bring on board. Let me just start from the onset. The one unique strength that Linda I bring on board is in the area of strategy. I have facilitated a lot of strategic plans for institutions. Just finished one for the institute for Iebc. Leading them to think strategically and reposition themselves. So, Linda, if I have taken time to look at the IEBC's, I've looked at their reports and I've looked at their strategic plan. And Linda, I think my assessment, IEBC is not a leading organization; it's a following organization. And this is what my qualification, because I celebrate what the Secretariat does. They do a good job. But if you look at their reports, they speak. Is a lot of we've done this, we've met so and so, we've done this, we've done this. That is a language of management. The language of leadership is the why. Why did we do this? What value? What lessons are we learning? And I actually have seen directly, if I can speak to the direct impact that I will have. I have looked at the IEBC strategic plan, and you can see very clearly at the center of the work is the organization. Leadership, there is two ways of looking at a good strategy. There is the management-led and the leadership-led. The management-led is answers the question why. The leadership, management answers the question what. The leadership why. So, for example, if you even look at the commission, its composition, I already see possible recommendations. One recommendation is we need to elevate strategy and policy to all the way to the commission level. At the moment, if you look at the composition, there is no even committee on strategy. There is no committee on policy at the plenary level. So what does that tell you? You find IEBC leading. Just look at even the various reports that have been submitted. The way the institution is engaging is coming from a followership. And so if we append the pyramid, we will have the low as the floor and not the ceiling. That's on the area of strategy. Communication. One thing that I bring on board is my networks, locally and internationally. If I look at it, Linda, at the moment, what the IEBC is dealing with is the issues of public trust. And specifically, what is this that is lacking in the institution is political capital for the institution is wanting. And so I will say the IEBC issue is, if we build political capital for the institution, we will be able to progress the work. And I have some suggestions on how we can build political capital for the organization. So I said strategy, communication, public policy. If you look at the work that I've done in public policy area, I've chaired several public policy engagement. I think the last one was endorsed by the cabinet on the 23rd of 23rd or 3rd October 2023. So the whole chain of how do you develop policy, how do you develop the briefing papers, cabinet memos. So all that. And when you look at the engagement of the commission at the moment, policy engagement mainly looks at policy internally. But what about speaking to the external environment? Belinda, just allow me to say this on this issue of political capital. Our elections, if we are able to fix, the political system at the moment, just connecting the power of building nexus on policy internally and external, our political system does not facilitate inclusion. We have a political system whereby you have a winner takes it all and a loser loses it all. So Linda, it does not matter even if we do everything properly, if we don't fix the external environment and we do it policy-wise, culture, practices, we will still be where we are at. The other thing that also brings on board is resource mobilization. If you look at the IEBC reports, you will see a lot. IEBC fund has not been operationalized. We were not dispersed money on time. I have worked with I understand the budgeting process, how treasury, that is what helped us to get the UFA in place. So resource mobilization, people, networks, and then the shilling, that can actually get us, like just give a small idea on resource mobilization. The African Development Bank, for example, has 3 kitties that when it's financing its work, and I've written in my CV that we are currently helping more university in terms of to resource mobilize. I have come up with some ideas that if I'm successful, we will be able to sort out strategy, sort out policy, sort out communication, and ensure that in addition to the money allocated by Treasury, we also get more money towards the work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kimosop. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I want to ask Caroline Kituku to also ask you some questions. Carol, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kimosop.
Yes, Carol.
I hear you speak very well about the legal framework, institutional frameworks, and that which needs to be done to improve efficiency at the IEBC. So let us pick it up from there.
Okay.
Let's go back to the Kregler report.
Yes.
The Kregler report made several recommendations on reforms that are needed to strengthen IEBC.
Yes.
What are some of these reforms, and should you be successful as a member of the IEBC, how would you seek to implement them?
Thanks, Carol. I will not be exhaustive. If you would allow me, I'd just pick of them. One of them was the issue of hiring the commissioners 2 years before time, providing clarity in terms of the operational independence between the commissioners and the role of the secretariat, the issue of ensuring that the commission is well resourced on time, and then the whole work on accountability, effective engagement of our stakeholders, the continuous updating of the policy and legal framework. It was quite a comprehensive report. So I'll just pick 2 things on recommending. Of course, you've seen we are time bad in terms of getting commissioners. There are already today constituencies and counties that are behind. So there are things that are outside the remit of the commission. So for me, that is I would maybe proactively engaging the parliament. For example, Carol, KEPSA has what you call the speakers roundtable. So if we could, for example, as a commission, be having consistent roundtable with the policy making, that is Senate and National Assembly, so that if there are legislations that we need on time, that for me would be I would point out. On the issue of separating the roles, clarity in terms of the role of the Secretariat and the Commission, Carol, since I'm a governance practitioner, at the board level, you wear 3 hats. You wear the hat of a governor, that is the governance mandate. You wear the hat of a volunteer, and also the role of an advisory. So ensuring, for example, our board charters clearly spells out the mandates, clarity, how we make decisions. On the issue of operational efficiency, I would recommend 2 things within the commission. Establishing a directorate of policy, strategy, and research, because when you research, you generate evidence that ensures that you're able to engage and on time. If you have a policy docket, then you're able to speak to the processes. And then on strategy, I would be able to say that. So that is on the operational independence. On resource mobilization, I think when I was answering that's Linda's question. So those are some of the things. On stakeholder engagement, I would be able to say have the policies that guides your work on stakeholder engagement.
Someone will have a conversation with you on that.
Yes.
So let's come back and focus on the legal framework,
yes,
and the institutional framework
yes,
that was recommended by Craig Graham,
yes,
Justice Craig Graham. So the independence of the electoral body was one of those things that the Craig Graham report speaks about.
yes.
What, in your view, are those legal safeguards that exist that grants IBC its independence?
Of course, IEBC is established by law. We have the Act. We have the law that outlines how elections are to be conducted under the Elections Act. We have the campaign financing framework. We have the laws that all the way to even the PFM, because we are supposed to account for the public resources that we get. I would say, Carol, that I would enhancing and developing regulations and developing board charters that ensures, for example, as I said, for example, when we are wearing the governance hat as a commissioner, that that is done in a well constituted board. It's called the commission, the plenary. An agenda is well set out. So that our decisions, somebody can see processes. So, and also building the capacity of the commissioners to be able to know when is it that they are doing their work as advisory.
Mr. Kimosop, let's focus on the legal safeguards. What has the law done to ensure the independence of the IBC?
As I said, for example, Carol, that the IBC Act, for example,
yes, the legal framework establishing the IBC, that one is clear. Any other mechanisms that exist in law?
Yes. For example, under the Elections Act, Carol, it has outlined how an election is to be conducted. Under the Election Offences Act, it has outlined clearly what are the elections offences that if anyone incurs, either the commissioners, the staff members, or even the players, that has given. I need to check if it's the Elections Act or the one that provides that anyone who runs for a position must sign the code of conduct, together with the one that even political parties, how, for example, the role of the commission in sorting out if there are differences. So the law has clearly stipulated how the elections be conducted, referenda. So that's how I would look at that, Carol.
All right, thank you. Dispute resolution.
Yes.
IBC has the mandate on dispute resolution.
Yes.
So which starts and ends at a particular stage and ends at a particular stage. So let's look post the declaration of results.
Yes.
Which means that the judiciary takes over any dispute that arises therein. So now the Supreme Court in 2022 made certain recommendations on the timelines for resolving the presidential petition at the Supreme Court. Are you aware of this recommendation by the Supreme Court?
I would not say it's in its entirety, but I allow me just to
Let me
I
guide
think,
you. Let me guide you. What is the time frame for the resolution of the presidential petition?
14 days. The Supreme Court made a recommendation that if it can be added to 30 days.
What is the rationale behind that?
The timeline, the restrictive. I remember if you listen to the Justice Maraga when he was making the declaration. Sorry, when they came to announce their verdict, I remember his words that it was humanly impossible to go through the voluminous report, but we have a determination. And I think that was the same case in 2013 and also in 2017. I am not sure about 2022, but the recommendation has been even in the different reports that these 14 days are not enough, increase them to 30 days.
All right. So what has made it difficult for that recommendation to be implemented?
We need to amend the constitution. The section on the process of determining and what we call this on the election of a president, all the way to petitions, it's very clearly stipulated in the constitution. And of course, if my small experience in law is that the constitution is the supreme law, we have to go back to amending the constitution.
Thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate, Carol.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Madam Koki Muli to also ask some questions. Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Kimosop,
yes,
I must first say to members of the panel and those watching you that I know you, but everyone else, as you have seen, who has been working in the area of elections, democracy, governance, is either known to me or I know them through interaction or training.
Yes.
So I just wanted to bring that out.
Thanks.
So that it may not disadvantage you.
Appreciate it.
So I want to come back to an area that you mentioned that you wanted certain things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
One of them was to build political capital for Iebc.
Yes.
The question I want to ask you, you can put them together. And I would like you to tell us about two things you mentioned. One, building political capital.
Yes.
Two, enhancing inclusion to avoid this winner takes all business. So what electoral system should Kenya embrace to ensure this inclusion you are talking about? And how do we embrace it? Do we need to, you state the steps that we need to do, whether we need to change the law to have a different electoral system, whether we need to change the constitution, or whether we can actually incrementally, using the current existing legal framework and using the current regulations to incrementally enhance inclusion, administratively and otherwise, as we try to enhance democracy in Kenya.
Balozi, thanks. And maybe just to cite that even when the presidential results were being declared, we were co-panelists at Citizen speaking to the nation at that time. And I'd want to say this, Balozi, when you have a system whereby you see the mobilization of voting in a country unfortunately, we are still doing it from an ethnic perspective. And I think since I'm speaking to professionals, there are things I can comfortably say among you, you're professionals. So then when you adopt the presidential system, and credit, for example, to the BBI report, if you remove the politics, they actually point out clearly that Kenyans are looking for home-based suggestion. Like we need to move from a nation of, if I remember the term, from to a nation of ideals. And this political system of a winner takes it all and a loser loses it all. I just want, if you could allow me, Ambassador, for me, I think when we went to the referendum in 2010 and changed the constitution, one of the things I wish we preserved was that position of the premier and the two deputies. I can tell you as an economist, and I have printed the economic, how we performed as the economic. In 2010, 2011, we had one of the highest economic growth rates. So you can imagine, hence the government was more than 49, I think 42 ministers. When you have political stability, you can talk economics. So for me, I would say that I think we need to broaden the executive, amend the constitution, reintroduce that prime minister position together with deputies as recommended both in BBI report and in the NADCO report. I would also say we need to dignify the opposition. Our political system, Ambassador, once you're branded the opposition, there is just something, everybody wants to feel included. I remember watching a program, Ambassador, on Al Jazeera, and there's a gentleman who said about the war in Middle East. He says when the people feel included in government and that their voice will be heard, then they don't need to take up arms to make the case. So for me, I would want to say that dignify the opposition. So if it is introducing the official opposition, facilitate them, let them make a contribution. We need to grow, Ambassador, to appreciating that everybody needs to be onboarded in building and taking the country forward. So if I think, of course, for those two proposals, Ambassador, we may require to amend the constitution. And at the moment, Ambassador, on how to go ahead, if I would make, because this is also part of the preparation for 2027, I would actually say, I was worried, Ambassador, the other day when we lost the former chair, and there was a section of the country that that did not, you could see that, good riddance. And that, for me, we need to go beyond that pain. What do we need to do, Ambassador? I think we should have the courage to do another Bombers 2, where we speak one to another as a country. And we have the elements, we can use some of the issues. You remember the Okoa Kenya push, Punguza Mzigo, BBI report. Now, those are elements that we can use, and we can make the changes that we require. Ambassador, allow me to say this. If you look at where we are at today, 2025, and you look at 2005, there are some parallels, Ambassador, now that actually can get you worried. So for me, we need to get the energies of the country directed towards rather the confrontational election in 2027, but an election around issues. The other thing, Ambassador, is that the laws are already there. There is a place for progressive realization and implementation so that persons with disabilities, youth, working with women, ensuring political parties list, all that actually. So I would go for a combined approach so that we can build this nation together, as the national anthem says.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimosop, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Ambassador.
Thank
I appreciate
you, Chair.
Thank you, Cookie. I want to invite FCPA to ask some questions, please.
Bwana Kimosop.
Yes, Mwasibu.
Which county do you come from? Is it Baringo or Elgeyo Marakwet?
Both. I have relatives across. I was born in one.
No, but where were you born?
Baringo County.
So for purposes of this exercise, because we are also looking at regional representation.
Yes.
So which county should you belong?
Place Baringo.
You'll place Baringo.
Yes. It's where I took my ID. You know the.
And you are also born there.
Yes.
So how did Elgeyo Marakwet come in?
No, sorry. It's where I was born, and I took my ID in Elgeyo Marakwet. It's a long story, sir. I would want to just stop it at that.
Yeah, you know, when we were looking at regional representation.
Yes.
So that is a factor that we are considering.
Thanks, Chair.
So it's unfortunate we are realizing that now, but that is it. Huh? Now you've told us you are a governance expert.
Yes.
I didn't hear you mention that you are a board member at UFA. Did you mention?
I said I was the founding chair. I established the institution. I pointed out the journey when I was doing my introduction.
Why I'm bringing that is you will be moving to, if you get it,
yes,
to Iebc.
Yes.
From a governance point of view, in terms of the structure of a state corporation like UVA.
Yes.
You are moving to a commission like Iebc.
Oh, yes.
You will be finding your fellow commissioners full-time, secretariat full-time. So what approach will you take, if considered, to ensure that you still deliver on the mandate, but at the same time ensure that there is efficiency, effectiveness, without dipping your fingers into the operations of the commission?
Thanks. You remember when I was submitting about the three hats that when you are at a governance level, you wear the governance hat, the hat for HAT, the advisory, and the volunteer. So one is that ensure that our board charters, our governance tools spells out clearly how do we go about when we are doing the governance. So for example, at the governance FCPA Tanui is that we exercise it in a properly constituted plenary, an agenda has been circulated, board papers well done, and all that. When we are doing advisory, advisory, when you're providing advisory, like for example, if I make it, for example, let me just go case study, and we need to operationalize the policy, the research and strategy directorate as I recommended. From my experience in research, from my experience in building organizations, from my experience in doing policy work, one is that, of course, there is a tendency whereby the staff could be coming to seek consult. What is binding to the staff, and in terms of directional and final, is not what is done when you're doing advisory work or volunteer space. It is things that we have decided properly in a well-constituted board. So we need to build the capacity of the commissioners to understand, because at times people stray, not knowing that management is to execute, we do the policy work. So I think for me, spell it out in policy, build the capacity, both of the board members and also, of the, I use this term, board, council, and commissioners, because it's at the governance level, build their capacity. The other thing also is, please get us a good chair. I don't know, it may not be in your full control. The tone is set from the chair. The glue that holds a good institution is the relationship between the chair and the CEO, so that at times if you have commissioners, FCB, who are interfering, I think the CEO should have the confidence that there are things, if they share with the chair, that this is where they're crossing their boundaries. Declaring disclosure of your interest of when there is an issue that has an interest. So build capacity, spell it out in policies, good leadership. So if we combine those three, FCPA Tanui, we will be able to get, of course, there will be political interference. This is the reality of being in that space. But with leadership, policies, fidelity to the rule of law and the constitution, we will be able to push it through.
Now, will IBC commissioners be offering advisory role?
You see, for example, I was given the example about if we were to establish the, I said like if when you're conceptualizing a research problem by the department, they want to conduct a research in certain areas. And in the subcommittees, when they are discussing and they are presenting, I think there are commissioners who would be able to look at it this way, look at it. These are the options to consider. That for me, I would put it at the level of advisory, not elevate such kind of engagement to the level of plenary where you have a resolution. So I was just dividing the responsibilities so that there is clarity in their engagement. I'm not looking at advisory the way, for example, SRC does advisory to counties. That is not, it's not in the same level that I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, and I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate FCP.
Thank you. I want to ask Misati. Misati, please. Can you ask some questions?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I want to repeat. You have interacted with IPC processes, and in Article 88,
yes,
D, IPC regulates the process of how the political parties clear their candidates.
Yes.
So in the code of conduct, if you are made a commissioner,
yes,
how will you ensure that the code of conduct protects women from violence and intimidation during the political parties' nominations?
First of all, thanks, Honorable Misati, for that question. One is that ensure, for example, all political parties sign the code of conduct, and the way it's developed, they have their input. It is the requirement that public participation in the development of the policy. So there is ownership in that process. So one, ensure all of them sign the code of conduct. Two, sensitization and people to be aware about the provisions of the same. And then thirdly, Misati, I think it is good also to work with the other stakeholders. For example, the IBC, when it comes to the issues of violence, that becomes a security issue. So this capacity building need not only to be done for the political parties, but also the stakeholders who are critical. For example, the police, IPOA, and all the organizations that are working towards enhancing inclusion. Honorable Misati, when we were doing the GJLOS program, we had the model of theming the work. So, for example, ensure we have a committee or an engagement that ensures that the report is that comes and reviewed. If there are policies to be done, if there are updates to be made, all the way to the media, because at times some of the things that happens in engagement, when people know that they are going to be exposed. So that is how I would go about it in ensuring that that is adhered to. The other thing that I also recommend, Honorable Misati, is that there is power in soft power. I remember when we were doing the bribery index, where we used to benchmark organizations in their progress. If we work with the registrar of political parties to come up with a political parties index, and one of the score is include an index in inclusion of women, persons with disabilities, the marginalized, progressively, and we give that weight. So those are the multi-pronged approach, Honorable Misati, that I recommend.
What will be the sanctions that IPC can put for those people who breach the code of conduct?
I think if people breach the code of conduct, it includes not clearing some of these political these candidates who have actually presented themselves. And I think I remember looking at the one of the reports. There's some candidates who have not been disallowed to progress, to be cleared. And Honorable Misati, one of the ways when people, one of the most powerful sanctions is actually deterring people from occupying public office. That is, of course, the level of clearance. If the IBC, the interesting thing, Honorable Misati, if you've worked with politicians, some of the most astute people in understanding their interests are actually the political players. And when they know that I don't know, Swahili is allowed to, there is a way at times when
yes, you're allowed to express.
I'm allowed to express myself.
Yes.
Wanasiasa ni wanajua, wakijua kwamba hii haikubaliwi na ukijaribu. So for me, I will combine both soft tools and hard tools. And then finally, Honorable Misati, I would want to use that terminology, is that there is also the issue of culture that we have to confront. At times, violence and bad behavior is rewarded in the political process. Because the way I have participated in crafting political strategies, you have to lionize your candidate. So how do we also address and confront our cultures? Let me give you an example. It's not a good example, but it will depict the problem. You see the way when you are in a political rally and then people are speaking, the way our women are accepted politically, they have to be dressed, they have to put on a full dress, you understand the culture. And I have seen situations in political processes whereby some people induce some young men and then come close to the woman, pull the dress, and once you touch the dress of a lady, everything else is forgotten. And so we have to confront all the way to our cultures so that we reward the right things, Honorable Misati.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Asante.
I want to request Fatuma to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Kimosop.
Yes, Ms. Fatuma.
And in citizen participation,
yes,
what are the key principles that underpin effective participation in the electoral processes?
One is give people information on time. This I serve as the economic advisor in my county, and the CIDP process has recommended principles of public participation. Give people information on time, not only information on time in ways that they can be able to assimilate and be able to understand. Ensure that persons with disabilities, marginalized women are also, this information reaches them. And also the relevance of the data. At times you can give people information, but it's not relevant to the engagement. The other thing that also, just give a small example about how these principles, there's some work we were doing, and I remember Wajir Radio, community radio. The people would say this radio works with us as nomads because of the appropriateness, the timeliness, and also at times the people who give this information. Honorable Fatuma.
There's quite a bit more.
On
apart from, you've mentioned inclusivity,
the inclusion, the issue of appropriateness, the timeliness. Yes.
What else? Which is very specific, or rather important for the electoral process.
Of the electoral process, I will need to check. I will need to check the others. Those are the ones that clearly come out of my mind at the moment.
Okay. Openness
yes.
and transparency
yes.
is equivalently
yes.
key. Thank you very much, Kim.
I appreciate, and I also want to thanks for this.
Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to request Nicodemus to ask some questions, please.
Thank you very much, Chair Kimosop.
Yes, Banabore.
Now, what is the role of personal integrity in inspiring public confidence in an institution like the Iebc?
John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And Bore, where there is leadership, things happen. And I just want the Constitution, chapter 15 sets out the independent offices. I remember we did some work with LSK while serving as the secretary of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, and we were reflecting on 10 years of constitutional implementation. And the chapter 15 institutions were meant to protect the institution. I remember one of the commissioners who was in the COE said, it is not only enough to have independent institutions, it's also good to have independent people in these institutions. So it's good to provide for independent institutions in law and in the constitution, but also the quality of people who serve in those institutions are very critical. And if you're, I think the chapter 6, Bore, the provision on leadership says that a public officer should conduct themselves in public and in private in a way that brings honor and dignity to the office. So integrity is very important because I think it's Warren Buffett who says, even if somebody is competent to do a job, if they don't have integrity, don't even progress the conversation. So, like, for example, at the moment with the Iebc, with the issue of public trust, one thing that has to be critical is that the people who serve in the institution and who are recommended, the members of the public have to see that hawa ni watu tunaweza waamini. And if you've been in the political space, Bore, the members of the public know hule atachunga mali yetu. I think I remember it's Safaricom that changed some of their values at some point when a member of the public told one of the leaders, mimi naweka pesa yangu Safaricom kwa sababu najua wewe utachunga. That was enough feedback to say, if we take care of the people, they will take care of our business.
Thank you very much and all the best.
Thanks, Bori. Appreciate it.
Invite Professor to ask you some question. Prof, please.
Thank you, Chair. Vincent.
Yes, Prof.
I've seen you are a leader. You incepted UFA.
Yes, and many others, sir.
And many others.
Yes.
Now that you seek to be in IEBC.
Yes.
Under which legal provisions
yes,
are commissioners expected to guide institutional direction and resource management? And why is this important?
I think the constitution on this, I cannot spell out the exact provision. The section that establishes the IEBC, that spells out the roles and the functions of the IEBC. That, of course, expressly implies that the IEBC, as it does its strategy, policy, and oversight in executing those provisions. On the provisions on the Elections Act, on how to conduct the elections, issues of referenda, all that, how to report, that is...
What about on leadership generally, without restricting
the leadership also on the leadership on the Integrity Act is the one that comes to bear. The public officers, the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. So those would be, including, of course, in addition to the charters and the policies that are established in the institution.
My last question on this segment. With that wide leadership stewardship that you have had
yes, sir,
in different organizations, sectors, both private and public.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about a situation
in
which you had to lead others to deliver on a difficult mandate? What approach did you use to provide direction, and how did you ensure alignment to the law and the Constitution?
Prof, I subscribe to the serving leadership model, the one of appending the pyramid, raising the standards, the bar, support. So that for me is the model that I subscribe to. Chair, I have, Chair, can I address Chair, the Prof directly? I can address Prof. When we were setting up the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, we had so many challenges. One, of course, the financial sector was not for it, so we needed to surmount the headwinds coming from the financial sector because it was taking away money. The other thing is that when we came to the implementation, compliance, and all that, that was external. But I had a very one case, Prof, that I would want to highlight that may actually be relevant to the IEBC. I had a difficult board member. We meet in the meeting, then thereafter writes again, shares the information, writes to the stakeholders. We had two particular incidences, and the board members, that I remember one of the board members one time telling Vincent, "You're too kind, why are you not firm?" And I remember, we are doing interviews. You see the way you're doing interviews here. You have shortlisted candidates. You have then calls those candidates after the interviews, asks for resources. I remember, Prof, I was called as a result of that to two incidences. I had to appear before a parliamentary committee because the person wrote to Parliament saying we are not doing this. The one that was scary was when I went to those red carpeted offices, which I think if I just leave it at that, you will understand. Chair, I'll just pick it up with what Bora is saying about the place of personal integrity. I've worked in the media, I've worked in government, I've worked in the private sector. When some media houses used to pick the information and in the process, some of them would call me, says, "Vincent, this is a financial institution and we know you. We have had this. Could you give me your perspective?" That was one of the strategies, effective engagement of the stakeholders. Number two is also the issue of understanding how to engage. I had a session, Prof, one time with the then cabinet secretary. I told Waziri, this is a situation we are dealing with, and if you don't act, my board members have said, we will leave this thing to you. So also knowing when to speak to the right places, to the right people at the right time. And then finally, Prof, just do the right thing. A friend of mine told me, he's a mentor of mine, Vincent, it is always the right time to do the right thing. And the beauty with the truth, Prof, you don't need to remember what I told you yesterday, because there will be alignment and consistency in what you're doing. We managed to overcome that situation. We did not have the boardroom rupture. We steered the organization, and today, Prof, I'm very happy to report the UFA has a quantum of, I think, close to 60 billion because of that track record, setting the laws, leading by example. At times I visit there, Prof, no one knows me, but the joy that you can build something that others will benefit years down the line. And I think we mirror some of these things in the Iebc. Prof, allow me to say this, because the Iebc, if you look at it very clearly, you see the Iebc in the preamble of the Constitution, you see the Iebc in Chapter 1, through many provisions all the way to the amendment of the Constitution. So it's a very critical institution that requires not only technical ability, but also personal integrity. And Chair, I want to say this, if I was faithful with the money of people at the UFA in billions, I will be faithful with the votes of Kenyans.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, it's not too long since Vincent was in high school. You might remember some things you want to ask him. Some questions.
Be kind to me, Prof.
Sure, Chair. We usually start with an area in which you are an expert. I mean, you are an impeccable person in policy, right from Institute of Economic Affairs to Institute of Legislative Studies.
Yes.
Every other election year, political parties come up with manifestos.
Yes, and I've drafted some,
which they translate into working documents.
Yes.
KANU Manifesto, Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965, NAC Manifesto, Economic Recovery Strategy, Jubilee Manifesto, Agenda 4. What's the difference between manifestos and the working documents and Vision 2030?
The one is that there is a lot of correlation. Interestingly, Chair, if you look at, with a tooth comb, you actually see parallels of what is in Vision 2030 in many manifestos. So I think the difference is in the language, the authority of the texting. When you are in policy, you are no longer promising. You're now talking about, as in even data comes in. But when you're in manifesto, Prof, you have to promise people heaven. People subscribe to hope. And so that is the, I would say, the in terms of form, you can have, the substance may mirror each other. Like if
maybe
you
bring the aspects of,
yes.
You see, I've said KANU, I've said NAC,
yes,
I've said Jubilee, and I could also say Kenya Kwanza. Then there is Vision 2030.
Yes, Prof.
I'm trying to see the main difference. You can see all these others are pigeonholed in a particular party and regime.
I see. At times, policies could transcend time. Like, for example, Vision 2030, we are now on the MTP4, which we have one last one coming. So the transcendent dimension of policy, they are across time. As I said about also the language, the broadness of stakeholders involved. But again, Prof, since we are in this political space, I needed to highlight the power of the promise, which you should have in the manifesto, because you need to rally people around your political party.
Very well. My last question.
Yes, Prof.
Kenyan forces have participated in peacekeeping in many parts of the world.
Yeah.
Excluding the East African Community member states.
Yes.
Mention any two countries in Africa where Kenya Defense Forces have successfully undertaken peacekeeping missions.
General Opande, West Africa, was this? This is Sierra Leone, or yes, I remember that mission.
That's one.
Then Namibia. I visited Namibia. We have a wonderful embassy.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Actually, we have even Kenyans there, interestingly. So, but that is on a lighter note.
Thank you, Kimosov. We want to thank you for the time we have shared. We have come to the end of this session. I don't know whether you have any question or comment for us. Briefly, in a minute, kindly. Yes.
In a minute?
Yes.
Thanks, Chair. Mine is to say a big thanks. Appreciate the opportunity, Chair. Wish you the very best. This is a noble exercise. I wish you the very best. I pray that just as you've conducted these interviews during the month of Ramadan, together all the way to Easter, may the men and women who come out of here be products of prayer, integrity, people who will support and get this country on a pathway of healing and a pathway of secure, peaceful, and an election that meets the democratic aspirations of the people of Kenya. Thank you, Chair, and good day.
Thank you and good day. The notebook and the pen are yours. Our friend and colleague will give you your certificates at the door as you exit. Blessings and have a good day. Wish you well. Asante. Okay, we can get the next candidate, please. You've Nalis Ndege Okubo. This is why, yes. Yes, this is why. Hakuna Zainabu. I'm my daughter Zaneta. We need to change her name so that she. Mr. Ifnalis Ndege Okubo, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do have a notebook and a pen, and sometimes water if you need. My name is Nelson Makanda. I am the chair of this selection panel. And let me say that it's a great pleasure to have read your CV and your application for the position of member of Iebc, and for that reason you are shortlisted. And we want to congratulate you for being shortlisted. I would like to invite my colleagues here to introduce themselves to you. Then after that, we will come to you. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Yufnalis. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
My name is Linda Kiome, and I serve this panel as the vice chair.
Thank you.
And I want to welcome you to your interview. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Bwana Juvenalis, good morning.
Morning.
Naitwa Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa jopo hili la uteuzi, na karibu.
Thank you.
Mr. Okubo, good morning.
Morning.
Caroline Kituku, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ndege Okubo.
Morning.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Okubo.
Morning.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Okubo, and
Morning.
it is really nice to see you after so many years.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. My name is Koki Muligrinyo, as you know, and I'm a member of this panel.
Thank you. Good morning, Juvenalis. Morning. My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you to this interactive session. Thank you.
Now we come to you, sir, and request that you introduce yourself, highlight your profile, and the things that are significant for us to take note of, and why you feel you're suitable for this position. We'll be interested to know whether you belong to any professional group or society, and to know whether you have received any award during the course of life. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Ayufnali Sokubo. I am by training a lawyer. I'm a graduate of University of Nairobi, the bachelor's degree in law, a master's degree in law, MBA from Moi University, a diploma from Kenya School of Law, diploma in financial management, diploma in security studies, member of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, member of East African Law Society, member of Kenya Law Society, member of Institute of Mediators and Conciliators, member of International Arbitration of Court Administrators. I used to practice law. Before then, I went corporate. I worked in 2 state corporations, all of them in the agriculture industry. That was the Nyayo Tea Zone Development Corporations and the Kenya Sugar Board, where I was in charge of the legal department and corporate issues. Thereafter, in 2006, after I completed my master's degrees, I went and got a job in an international organization where Kenya is a member. That is IGAD. We're based in Djibouti, operating from Djibouti and Addis Ababa. While in IGAD, I was the legal counsel and head of institutional affairs. I was actually the first holder of that office and set up that office from the scratch. Now, the office was such that if there was anything that the organization didn't know where it should be located, it will end up in your office. So while I was the legal counsel, I also acted for 2.5 years as the director of peace and security. There was no substantive director. While also serving as a director of peace and security, I also served as the director of a conflict early warning, that is C1. In 2016, I moved to East African Community, to the East African Court of Justice as the registrar of the court. And I worked there until 2022, mid-2022, when I finished my tour of duty and I came back to the country. My interaction with elections started in 1997, where I was appointed a returning officer for Ikolomani constituency. I think I must have been the youngest returning officer then. We did that election, and you know that was in the old system where all ballot boxes are counted at the returning officer's office, and it was such a hectic thing. I remember during the evaluation post that elections when we suggested why not count the ballot papers at the polling stations, then just have the figures of the returning officer's office. And in 2022, for the first time, that was put into place. It is in 2022 that we started now counting votes at the polling stations, not at the constituency level. So in 1997, I was returning officer Ikolomani, and in 2022, I was also, not 2022, but 202, I was also returning officer for Mumia's constituency. And then when I left the country as a head of legal and institutional affairs and acting director of peace and security, Sudan was holding election for the first time after 24 years under Bashir. And being a member of IGAD, we were tasked to go and observe elections there. So I put up a team of members from all the IGAD member states, and we had a training held by Institute of Education and Democracy. And the chief trainer is right here with you. It was a very good training that opened up our eyes. And this was also the first time that IGAD was going to observe elections in a member country. So we went to Sudan, Khartoum, distributed quite a big team all throughout the Sudan, which is a big country, and observed that election and learned a few things from there that were not, let's say, like in our country. Following that, that was in 2010. Then we came to observe the Kenyan referendum that led to the new constitution of Kenya. Shortly after that, in 2012, there was now the referendum of separation of South Sudan. Again, we were in Juba with a very big team, and South Sudan is also a very expansive country. We were able to have observers scattered all over, took them through trainings, what they expected to do, and we concluded the exercise very well, presented our report to the government of South Sudan. Eventually, after that, that's when South Sudan was created. Then we came back to observe the Kenyan elections in 2013. Thereafter, we also observed elections in Uganda, Ethiopia, and while I was in EAC, we were also able to observe elections. I was able to be part of the EAC observer mission that was observing the elections in Tanzania, the last elections in Tanzania. And 2016, while we went to our Iebc team was going to observe elections in Uganda, I was appointed to be the head of mission of the Iebc observer mission, where we're interacting now with other election head of missions for the other countries and observing those elections. We were basing mainly our tools on the international principles of democracy and elections and democracy, the AU principles of elections, and even the East African Community Code protocol on the governance and elections. While at TSC, the courts, which is like the judicial arm of the community, we got involved with the publicizing these courts, because when I got there, very few people knew about the court. Even not many lawyers knew about the court, knew about the jurisdiction of this court. And I was very instrumental in publicizing this court throughout the region so that many people can make use of the court for the purposes of integration in the region. I am motivated by my interest and commitment to democracy. I want to see free, fair, and transparent election, which is a backbone for backbone for democracy in any country. I'm also committed to integrity and impartiality, where I want to see equality and also not ensure every citizen feels his vote is counted and his vote counts. I also look at this position as an opportunity to serve the country, giving back to the society, and a contribution which I can make to our country. I'm also committed and motivated by innovation, making use of innovation for free and fair elections. I also hope that I'm also motivated by the need to ensure we have a global impact. The IEBC can conduct elections in a manner that the region can actually come and benchmark from Kenya. Lastly, I'm also committed to seeing that I can leave at least an impact to those who are behind me for the exercise I've done. While working, I've also mentored very many young people, especially those who came to Arusha doing law and wanting to know how registration works. These were mainly students who are coming for internship. I mentored a lot of them so that they take an interest in the regional laws, not just the national laws. Chair, that is me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So since you came back from ESCJ, what have you been doing?
I've mainly been doing my own consultancies in ESC law, integration laws, and particularly laws touching on. I do most consultancy for East African Development Bank, which is an institution of ESC. I also do court annexed mediation and arbitration.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Maybe first, for clarity purposes, Chairman, I do recognize that the candidate is a member of the Law Society of Kenya. I have also seen a recommendation letter from the East Africa Law Society by the acting CEO then in the year 2022, Sigano, and I have seen my name appearing on the column of the council members for ELS. At that time, Mr. Chair, I was the president of the Law Society of Kenya, and in no way am I conflicted, because that letter is a letter for recommendation of good character for the candidates for interview. That being said, Chair, I do not have any conflict. I do not personally know the candidate before, but I do confirm that letter was from the East Africa Law Society, where I was a member at that time representing the Law Society of Kenya. So that being said, Chair, I'm objective in my assessment of the candidate. Now, Mr. Euphnalis,
Yes.
as a member of the IEBC, what key skills and competencies do you believe are essential for the team of commissioners to work together?
Now, as a member of IBC, one will need to be a team player, because you're working with a diverse people, group of people. One will need to be a good listener. You will hear a lot, and you must listen to what people are saying before you respond to them or know what to respond to them. You require mediation skills. There are a lot of conflicts in this work, both in the commission staff, outside. Those skills will come in handy. You will even require financial management skills, because you sit in a position where you may have to make decisions touching on funds, prudent use of funds. You require also the ability to work with work with the different people from diverse backgrounds, and you'll get all this. I mean, Kenya is a country with people with a lot of diverse backgrounds. You require skills on how you intermingle and work with these people, so that the work becomes seamless. Yes.
And what interpersonal skills do you think you have that will enable you to execute your mandate as a commissioner?
I am a team player. I take time to listen. I am a mediator, certified by the International Mediation Institute. Have experience with working with diverse people of diverse backgrounds. When you go to international organizations, like when I went to Iebc, that is an eight country members. So you get staff from all these countries, yet you have to work with them. Even when I went to EAC, there are people from that time, it was 5 countries, now it's about 8 countries. Again, you're interacting with people from all these countries with the different backgrounds. And I was able to work with them properly. So I think I possess those skills, and even good, if I become a commissioner, I'll be able to interact properly and deliver on my mandate.
Thank you very much, and I wish you the best. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Okubo. Now I want to invite Carol to also ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Okubo, let's speak about something I'm very familiar with. We have seen Kenyans approach the East Africa Court of Justice to determine electoral petitions that emanated from the Kenyan Supreme Court. We have 2 instances of 2 cases, I think, before the ESCJ. One of them has been determined to its logical conclusion, and I believe the other one is still pending. So under what circumstances can the East Africa Court of Justice hear cases involving electoral disputes in Kenya? Does it have jurisdiction? And if yes, what is that triggers that jurisdiction?
Yes, there have been a lot of confusion about that. And as I said earlier, we discovered even lawyers in Kenya don't understand the jurisdiction of East African Community. The fact that a case has been decided in Kenya does not mean it cannot go to East African Community. However, it does not go there as an appeal. It goes there because the way that case was handled in Kenya, it violated the treaty. Now, the famous case of Martha Karua, whoever went to court was not saying overturn the decision of the Supreme Court. The governor of Kirinyaga, he was already declared a governor. This person did not come to Arusha saying overturn that decision. All they were saying is that, look, while my matter was being handled in Kenya, it violated the treaty. And that is why the decision of the East African Court of Justice did not overturn what the Supreme Court did. It simply said you violated the applicant's rights under the treaty. So yes, the jurisdiction is violation of the treaty in whatever you do here. If you have your own laws here and violate them, your own laws, you can be taken there, because under Article 6 of the treaty, which sets out the principles and underpinning the cooperation EAC, one of them is rule of law, the governance, democracy. So if whatever you're doing here, you violate any of those, then somebody can comfortably take it to the East African Court of Justice and the court will have jurisdiction. But people confuse thinking you can go and appeal in Arusha. That is not the case.
Absolutely. So in respect to electoral matters, what are those principles in the EAC treaty that trigger the EACJ jurisdiction?
There is the rule of law, Article 6 and 7.2. There is a good governance, the same articles. There is democracy. So if an event or an election here is done in a manner that it violates the rule of law in Kenya, that it violates the principles of governance in Kenya, that can trigger a case in Arusha.
All right, that's okay. So let's come back to Kenya. What is the dispute mechanisms, or what is the dispute resolution procedures around election petitions?
There are two scenarios here. There's one before the election is done, the disputes that arise particularly after nominations, which are handled by Iebc before they even go to court. Then you have the disputes that come after the elections have been concluded. Somebody will be disputing the results that were announced, which goes through now the High Court, and I mean the local mechanism, mainly through the High Court, for Presidential, Supreme Court, all the others through the High Court by filing election petitions.
Which court has jurisdiction to determine petitions concerning the elections of member of county assembly?
Also the High Court.
High Court?
Okay, sorry. They start in the subordinate court, but they can appeal all the way. They can even, if there is even a matter touching on the something which is of public importance, it can end up even the Supreme Court. But it'll start from the subordinate court and it'll come all the way.
So what does the Elections Act say specifically about the jurisdiction of the courts in regard to each of them? Let's speak about the member of county assembly. Where do they start, and where does the law contemplate that are going to end? You remember the Supreme Court of Kenya in the Governor of Meru Munya's petition is when it invented the doctrine of necessity to determine the election petitions. But what did the law envisage before the Supreme Court expanded on that? What does the law say?
I think the law says like a county assembly will start in the subordinate courts and it can end up in the Court of Appeal. For a member of parliament, it start in the High Court, and if need be, it can reach the Supreme Court. Depending on how matters are determined in the Court of Appeal, there could be matters of public interest that requires interpretation of the Supreme Court. It might end up in the Supreme Court.
What is the jurisdiction of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal in electoral matters?
Political Parties Dispute Tribunal is before the elections. There could be disputes about the nominations, or as to who won during the nominations. There could be disputes about maybe registration of voters. There could be disputes about the party lists. Those ones then will go to the tribunal before they can escalate anywhere. jurisdiction of political parties?
Yes. Do political parties have dispute resolution mandate? If yes, what is it they look into?
I think the parties are supposed to have their own internal mechanism to resolve the issues first. If they don't have, then they can go to the tribunal.
I thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I want to invite Madam Koki to ask you some questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Okubo, I know you have from my first. Let me join the Vice Chair to say that I have no conflict of interest dealing with you, even though we have worked as professionals previously before.
Yes.
In fact, I've been saying that about a lot of people because, as you know, elections, democracy, and governance is my area of expertise. So I've met most of the people who would be going to the Iebc, and therefore I can say that I'll be objective in determining your suitability. Having said that, because I am aware of your experience in this area, I will not ask you one of the questions that I have here, but I would like to implore upon you to tell the panel and the people who are watching you, what are the key areas, the key drivers for you to want to go to the Iebc, and what kind of legacy do you wish to leave there in terms of the electoral cycle, improving the elections or the integrity of elections and the credibility of elections? What do you want to do that Kenya will remember you for if you get lucky and go to the Iebc? What would you do to improve the integrity of elections?
Thank you, Balozi. I think the major thing that I would like to do there is to leverage on innovations, information technology, especially when it comes to transmission. Because to me, I think that is the elephant in the room. We are talking about real-time transmission. Go to any ATM, which is not even your bank. The last question you are always asking an ATM is whether you want a receipt or not. Immediately you click on no, a message comes on your phone while you are still there. You have not even received the money. A message comes from your phone, you have withdrawn 10,000 shillings. Then now the machine starts counting. That is real time. And if we have that technology here with the banks, I don't see why the same technology cannot be applied with the Electoral Commission. In fact, that is the real time. Then when the machine starts counting the money, those are now the Form 34s starting to come. So already the information is there. Why can't we have it in a manner that as soon as the presiding officer clicks the enter button entering those results, the figures come on a screen there where everybody can see, instead of them going in the background office, then where it is wait to be compared with the forms that have arrived before the figure goes there. I think that will ease a lot of problems. So I'll act a situation where I'm remembered that I insisted on information technology that then created trust to Kenyans. And even that technology should be tested and retested and retested. For example, what happens in Brazil? Why not, for example, have a day where you invite all hackers from wherever? Let us test this system. Hack into it. If it goes through, we know there's a problem, we go back to the developers and say, can we seal this? Then we try it again. If it can be tried and tried and tried, then everybody will have faith that nobody can hack into this system. Then the trust will be developed.
Thank you. Candidates seem to trust banks. They even trust this year when you apply for your clearance certificate. You go and whatever is brought to you is what you believe. But candidates, because of the amount of money they spend to prepare for elections and campaigns, they don't trust the Iebc. So what are you going to do to improve that trust deficit you are saying? Because we have seen, even as much as machines seem to be working, that trust is still missing, and the confidence. How are you going to improve that?
I think, first of all, we need to apologize for past failures. assure the public we recognize those failures. We are sorry about them. We have learned from them. And we are a new team that is going to correct it. The public at least saw these people are acknowledged something was wrong. 2, assure them that now there's a new system we are putting into place. Things like those testing and the hackings and what, they give confidence to them that indeed this system can work. 3, I think we need also to do a lot of voter education on how this system works. And even go further, introduce penalties for malpractice. I don't think in these countries we have seen any serious prosecution of electoral malpractices, yet they are there. So when malpractice like that happen and nothing happens, people say, but what will IBC do? Nothing will happen. How do we trust them? If you look at the past events from 2007, 2017 nullification of that petition, 2022, the debacle that happened there, all those create doubt in the minds of people. But now this will be a new team assuring them that, look, we have noticed what that happened, and we are taking that to make sure that will never happen again. That assurance to me can bring back the trust to the public.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okubo, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to invite FCPA Tanui to also ask you some questions. FCPA, please.
Thank you, Chair. When you've knowledge, if you are successful to join IBC, you will be joining another team of 6 commissioners, and all of you will be new, because as we are talking now, there are no commissioners at IBC. So why is institutional memory important for an EMP, election management body like IBC? And secondly, how do you handle that fact that none of you will be having any institutional memory, or you'll all be new at the commission, assuming there will be no one who has ever worked at IBC? How will you handle it? So there are 2 questions. Why is it important that we have institutional memory? And how will you handle it if given an opportunity that all of you, noting that all of you will be new at the commission? Thank you.
Yes, institutional memory is important because then it enables the team to know where had we stopped, what had we started, what was the progress of assignment A, B, and C, and where do we pick it to progress instead of starting afresh. So it is important, institutional memory is important for continuity. But now we have a situation where 6 or 7 people are coming, all of them are new. None of them was working there. It is required to foster a very good working relationship with the secretariat because they have been there. They have the records of what has happened. During the induction, it will be very important to take the commissioners through what has been happening before, what was pending, maybe something that stopped because the commissioners were not there, so that now the new commission picks it up from there. And it will also give an opportunity for the commission to review what happened back from the records, from the documents they were given, and then now proceed from there. So it will require that good cooperation and good relationship with the secretariat. They are the only ones who will then have that memory.
During our interviews here, we've had a good number of members of the secretariat. And they also have these fears that some of the commissioners who at times they come externally, they come having this feeling that they are the commissioners and they are the decision makers. And therefore, the secretariat have no role in that process. So what is your take on that?
I think being commissioners, yes, they are commissioners, but if they say that, then it means they also don't understand their roles. First of all, they can't work without the secretariat. The roles are very clearly separated, very clearly defined in the IBC Act. So anybody saying that they are the ones to make decisions If left on their own, I don't think they'll make those decisions. Or if they will make wrong decisions. So anybody saying that, I think that is a wrong approach. It may not. I'll not consider somebody like that being a team player. We are going to work with the secretariat. These people, you must acknowledge, they have experience. They have been there longer than us. We may have experience, but maybe ours was an external experience, not in the context of IBC of Kenya. So we really must work with them. They may not be perfect. Maybe we are there to guide them also and discuss with them, see what is the best way forward on this particular item. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you, and I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to invite Ms. Sati, please, Evans.
Thanks so much, Chair. Juvenalis, I want to ask you a question related to the interpretation of our Constitution, Article 88. The role of IPC in Article 88.4H. It talks about the role of IPC as the facilitation of the observation, monitoring, and evaluation of elections. Now, I want us to focus on your interpretation of that part, where the role of IPC should be able to facilitate the evaluation. Particularly, they do the post-election evaluation. But essentially, it's IPC who usually they do the evaluation after the elections. So from where you stand, do you think when it says facilitate the evaluation, they're supposed to do it themselves or to facilitate for another internal or external party to do it? What is your take on that?
I think the best results you can get from an evaluation is when it is done by an external person who is looking at it from a different angle, who is looking at it with a different eye. Now, when it says facilitate, it cannot, to me, I don't think it should mean IBC to do it. Maybe it should mean invite them when to do it. Can we have your reports by this day? Once you have your reports, then now can we sit together, you present to us, and we also give you our views on what, the way you looked at us, how we performed our duties. That way, I think you will be getting a more objective response than ourselves doing it. You could be doing it yourself and you are just defending yourself from whatever happened.
Exactly. Thanks so much. So if you are given an opportunity, I'm sure you'll do it in a different way.
That is the way I will interpret it.
The interpretation. Now, let me take you to the Campaign Financing Act. You know, it has since 2013, they enacted it and said it will take effect in 2017. 2017, it was pushed to 2022. Now, in the current state, it's been told that IPC go and make the regulations, but do public participation. So from where you sit, what are the challenges you see if you are given an opportunity to be an IPC commissioner in that Campaign Financing Act?
The idea of the act and the provisions there, I think the intention was very good. Unfortunately, it has had to be suspended those many times. Public participation, of course, is important. It's a requirement of the law, and we need to see what the public will be affected by this act will be saying about it. And I think IBC should move very fast once it is put in place to come up with those draft regulations, then get the views from the public, because they are affected by this campaign financing. We have seen instances where there seem to be a lot of money circulating around, particularly during that time. It becomes a whole industry in Kenya. In fact, I remember when we went to observe the elections in Ethiopia, when you reach there, some people were asking whether there is still an election in Ethiopia or not, because things were just quiet. Unlike in Kenya, where it is a whole industry, from those bringing posters, T-shirts, vehicles, what. So let us see. It will be good, yes, to get the views of the public into those regulations.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I want to invite Ms. Fatuma Saman to ask us some questions. Fatuma, please.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Okubo,
Yes.
what mechanism would you employ in improving citizen participation in a region with a history of electoral exclusion?
A region with a history of election exclusion. We need to do voter education, but who do we use? We need to get the local civil societies. We need to get the local leaders who people respect and people listen to spread this message. We need to use even local radio stations in their vernacular languages to inform these people the importance of registering as a voter, the importance of why they should vote. What do they gain? What do they stand to gain if they vote? We need to use even the local influencers who come in either through songs or through SMSs, who are trusted in that region. Then it will be easy to loop in these people who have been excluded, because now and then they will be understanding why they should participate in the elections.
You mentioned voter education. Huh?
Yes.
The content of voter education in such areas, would it be similar to what is used, for instance, like Nairobi, where there is more political consciousness?
The content is the same. It's only the language medium of communication that will make them understand it better. That will be different.
Thank you very much, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite Nicodemus to ask you some questions. Mr. Bore, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I will start by asking Wanandege to give us the correct pronunciation of the first name, because I've had different, so I don't know how to call it.
If it's difficult, just say youth.
Youth.
Yes, just youth.
And the last one, youthnas, or what?
Others, you want to go all the way, and then youthnalis.
Youthnalis.
Yes.
That's better. Now I know how to. I was trying to follow what Misati was saying, but I could not get what he was saying. Bwana Youthnalis.
Yes.
How does the Constitution of Kenya define the responsibilities of leadership, and what qualities are emphasized to ensure objectivity and service to the public?
Qualities of leadership are expounded and provided for under Article 73 of the Constitution, read with Article 10 of the Constitution. As a public officer, you are supposed to be selfless, provide selfless service, be truthful to the people you are serving. You know, you are transiting, when you get that position, you are transiting from being a private citizen to a public citizen. That's where the oath of office comes in. So you're supposed to serve impartially, open to the people you are serving, respond to them as at when required, promptly when required. If you are, let's say, involved in where you're supposed to make decision, then the decision should be very impartial. Consider also the less privileged in society if they deserve such a position. In a nutshell, maybe I'll put it like that. But you link Article 73 with Article 10 on national values. Thank you.
Thank you, Youth, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite our professor to ask you some questions. Prof, please.
Bwana Hubo.
Yes.
Kubo. You know, today I've confirmed that the boy child is an endangered species, because I didn't hear any panelists congratulate you on your achievements, yet they have really been congratulating ladies here. I'm just looking at what you have done, from law to peace and security to arbitrator to diploma in finance and the institutions you have worked in, and I think on their behalf, although they didn't.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me congratulate you for that.
Yes,
my question.
but we've been fair to you.
No, they've been fair. It's only that
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
I want to see this resilience in leadership because I've seen you bring an organization, go and take one, and the versatility is amazing, at least from my point of view. So, which leadership principles support resilience in public service leadership, particularly? And that's where my point is, because you're now seeking IBC, particularly under political or public scrutiny.
Just come again, Prof.
Which leadership principles support resilience in public service leadership, particularly under political or public scrutiny? You could be general, you could go to the Constitution.
I think it will take me back to Article 73 and Article 10. Impartiality, openness, financial probity, prompt response and act on any public inquiry, service to the public, service to the people, and being truthful to who you are serving.
Thank you. My last question on this segment. Leadership often requires personal sacrifice for public good. How would Euphnalis Ndege Okubo ensure that his personal ambitions and values align with national values and the collective good of the Commission?
I think this office requires a lot of intense work. In fact, it's an office which you cannot say it is 8 to 5. You have to go beyond that. Why? Because certain things must just be done and delivered on time without looking at what you are gaining out of it, but looking at what you are delivering to the public. What is the public gaining out of what you are doing? That is the sacrifice I'll put if given an opportunity to serve in this office.
Thank you, Chair.
Do you have any further 2 questions?
Okubo.
Yes.
I know you are in the 6th floor.
Yes.
I'm sure all the people understand the 6th floor, but the chair usually asks us to ask some high school questions, which I know you are in long time. But we are usually fair. We start with where you have had experience in. And you're a man of letters, and therefore I just want to pick on an area that you worked in, that you developed by your own words, but which we haven't tested here. And that is in the peace and security arena. And my high school question is, IGAD with double D, where you served, when was it incepted and what was the mandate? And IGAD with 1D, when was it incepted and what was the expanded mandate?
IGAD with double D, it was mainly focusing on drought and development. Those are the 2 double Ds there. Come 1997, it was revamped and removed 1D to be development encompassing regional integration of the Horn of Africa.
There was no security in it?
Regional integration included peace and security. And mainly we were focusing on the Horn. We saw the Somalia peace process. We saw the conflicts in Sudan. Actually, people say if you have a problem over peace and security, go to IGAD. They say that Horn knows how to fight peace and security.
Very well. My last question. Name 2 countries in Africa, excluding Kenya, that have had both father and son lead the country as presidents.
DRC. And I think there's a country in West Africa, I'm forgetting the name, where we had
20 seconds.
Where we had Paul Biya and his son. Not very sure.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Paul Biya is still president, I think, in Cameroon. Yeah.
Not very sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Omar Bongo.
Gabon.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end. And just to echo the comments by Professor Adam Solo, your CV is very impressive. It's nice to know that there are Kenyans like this. You have served not just Kenya, but the continent. We want to appreciate your contribution. We'll assess your suitability based on what we have had today and the documents you've submitted amidst other requirements of the Constitution, and we wish you well.
Thank you,
Do you
Chair.
have any comment that you'd like to make?
Just to thank you for giving me an opportunity. When the long list came out, it was indeed very long. And to have made it in a list of less than 10% of that long list, that was not, fit. I'm sure even you have had a grueling 1 month of these interviews. And I'm also sure you are really looking forward to tomorrow when you'll finish this and go to another exercise. I can only say I wish you well.
Thank you for waiting for this long. It was because your name starts with a youth. Blessings to you. Find your certificates at the door with our colleague. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Asante. Friends, it's 11:10. The next candidate was supposed to be here now, and she's around. I need advice whether we take her and have a break, or we have a break now. We break. Okay. How many minutes? 30 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, thank you. Members? Okay, members, you have quorum. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's what my children say. Are the cameras ready? They are ready, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so can we have Anne Gashoya? Good morning, Madam Anne.
Morning, sir.
Welcome, and please have a seat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my name is Nelson Makanda. I'm the chair of this selection panel, and allow me on behalf of this team to thank you for showing interest in the position that we advertised for member of the Iebc, and want to congratulate you for being shortlisted. And that's why you're here this morning. Members, I have worked with Anne before, as I had been a member of a task force in the Ministry of Education, and she supported us in the Secretariat, and so I have known her professionally in that manner. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves, please. Linda.
Good morning, Madam Anne.
Good morning, madam.
My name is Linda Kiome. I serve this panel as the vice chair. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you for your interview session. Karibu sana.
Thank you, madam.
Madam Anne, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama.
Bado ni asubuhi?
Yes, it is.
Bado ni asubuhi. Uko salama?
Yes, I'm fine.
Jina langu ni Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi, na karibu.
Thank you.
And good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Caroline Kituku, karibu.
Thank you.
Good morning, Anne.
Morning, sir.
My name is Adam Solo. I'm a member of the selection panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Anne.
Morning, sir.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Good morning, Anne.
Morning, madam.
My name is Fatuma Alisman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Gashoya.
Good morning, madam.
Karibu sana. My name is Koki Muli Grinyo, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Han.
Morning, sir.
My name is Evan Misati. I'm a member of this selection panel, and we welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Now, Anne, before you, you have a notebook and a pen, so that you can take note of the questions you'll be asked, and anything that you may need to help your memory to remember, so that it doesn't get lost. We would like to ask you to introduce yourself to us and to the public that is following this interview, detailing your profile, work, and any other thing that is significant for us to note. Indicate if you have received any award or commendation, and indicate if you're a member of any professional society or group, so that we take note of those things. Kindly take about 6 minutes or thereabout to do that introduction. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. And the panel members, I first want to thank the selection panel for this opportunity and having me here today. I also want to thank the team for considering my request to reschedule my interview. And I'm happy that I'm here this morning. My name is Anne Waidera Gachoya. I work as Director Education in the State Department for Basic Education in the Ministry of Education. After completing primary school, I went to secondary school. I then proceeded to Narok for my A-levels. After that, I joined Moi University, where I graduated with Bachelor of Education degree certificate. I later joined University of Nairobi, where I graduated with a master's in education planning. I also did master's in international studies in the University of Nairobi. And since 2017, I'm currently pursuing PhD in leadership and governance from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. I have 33 thereabout years of experience in the public service. Some of the years which I started as a teacher, I briefly taught in a teacher training college. I have been a quality assurance and the standards officer in the Ministry of Education and an education officer in the Ministry of Education, where I'm currently serving as director in one of the directors in the State Department. In my line of duty, I attended several courses in education management. I've also done courses in public policy, governance and leadership, monitoring and evaluation. At the ministry, I coordinated Education Development Partners Cooperation Group for 16 years, together with other education stakeholders. For 16 years, I was coordinating. In addition to that, I also did a course again in the line of duty as a lead auditor in quality management system, popularly known as ISO, where we do the audits of the processes to ensure a compliance. I'm also a trainer. I've done several courses in trainer and have participated in training programs basically related to my line of duty. I've also participated in Kenya National Examination Council, one as an examiner, number two as an officer supporting in tool development, and also in report writing. And while doing that task, integrity has been key in ensuring the credibility. I also participated as a presiding officer during the 2005 referendum, and also I was a presiding officer during the 2007 general elections. At the Ministry of Education, I can say for over 16 years, when I was coordinating policies, we managed to do over 15 policies during that time to guide implementation of education programs and the plans. So I'm here, Chair, to say that, one, I have expertise in policy and strategy. I was instrumental, for example, since 2013 in developing the Ministry of Education Strategic Plan 2013-2017, 2018-2022, and the current one, 2023-2027. In addition to that, during the COVID-19 period, when schools had been closed, I managed to support the task force as the secretariat and was instrumental in coming up with relevant documents like the protocol that enabled safe reopening of schools. I also participated in developing the emergency response plan, which continues to guide education in preparing for any disaster and any eventuality. With respect to awards, I have awards in ensuring that we are doing the ISO compliance as a ministry, because being an auditor myself, a lead auditor, I support so much in developing the documents that are required and even in guiding the other departments to ensure the compliance. I have also been in charge of performance management at the directorate level, where we look at the tools, performance contracting, the ISO itself, the staff performance appraisal, and all that. Sir, given that background, I believe I can contribute immensely to Iebc achieving its mandate of ensuring a credible elections. In my line of duty, just to summarize, my career is rooted in ensuring access, because we talk about access to quality education, inclusive education, equity, equality, all those aspects, which are very key, and those are the things we do on our day-to-day basis. In my line of duty, also, I'm able to meet with several stakeholders with divergent views who come to the ministry seeking a clarification or any guidance. So I have been able to work together and to collaboratively work with the various stakeholders, various players in the sector, something that I believe resonates very well with what Iebc stands for, of working with the stakeholders or those interested parties.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'd like to stop you there so that we can progress. I had not noted that there was a member of the in the gallery there, and so thank you for coming to follow the proceedings and perhaps support your colleague. Linda, please ask the.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, Madam Anne, reflecting on your very rich career journey very rich, and congratulations for the milestones that you've been able to do while executing your duties at the Ministry of Education. What key competencies beyond education have you been able to acquire that you will use and will be an asset to the Commission if you are taken up as a member? Key competencies.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Chair, and the panelist. As an educator, one of the key competencies that I'll bring into the Commission is the competence of problem solving, because in my line of duty, I have interacted with different players who also come with different needs and different views. Hence, in my line of duty, which I'll bring to the Commission, is one, the problem solving skills. If there are any disputes, I've also done a course in negotiation, persuasion, and mediation. And that gives me the skills of negotiating and even being able to solve the problems as they are. The other skill that I'll bring to the Commission, it is collaborative skills, working with various stakeholders who have an interest in the whole process and working with them step by step in order to achieve the objective and the goal of the Commission. I also have the skills I've said of the quality management system. So those are also skills that I will be able to bring on board so that we are able to ensure compliance with existing laws and the legal frameworks. As an educator, and I know the significance of voter education, civic education, the issue of capacity building. As a trainer, I come with the training skills, capacity building skills, and also in ensuring that the curriculum that is being in use, it is relevant to the needs of various stakeholders. I'm also bringing the skills of policy strategies. I know the work of the commissioners is to give strategic direction and the policy formulation. As far as that area is concerned, I have sound knowledge. I also bring on board, I've done several courses in monitoring and evaluation, including those audits as in the ISO. I know to have credible process, monitoring need to be done, audits need to be done, and those are skills that I also bring to the Commission. I also bring to the Commission adaptability to the changes, the issue of innovativeness, creativity, because you need to become innovative so that you are also in line with the emerging threats in order to remain relevant and to ensure that fair, credible, verifiable elections are done. The listening skills as a teacher and as an officer, those are skills that are very key, because as a commissioner, you need to listen to the various stakeholders. More so, with divergent views, you need to listen and communicate to them effectively. You need also to communicate even to the general public. Clarity of thought, clarity of ideas, so that all of them get to understand that the work that is being done, it is for all of us, and each one of us has part to contribute. In ISO, we say it's a system, and that's why we say it's an electoral system which has different parts. And each part has also to understand the role that they are playing to ensure effective a delivery of the mandate of the commission. So with the communication aspect and also the training, I bring on board that. I also bring on board that wide experience in the public service of 33 years. And also in terms of integrity, I was a member of Corruption Prevention Committee. I am myself a trained quality assurance integrity officer. So my background and what I know is about upholding the integrity and the credibility of whatever I am undertaking.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Anne. That is quite an experience of 33 years, and I wish you all the very best in your interview. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Now, Anna, I would like to ask Caroline Kituku to also ask you some questions. Carol, please.
Thank you, Chair. And
yes, Madam.
The Constitution at Article 10 recognizes the values of inclusiveness, equality, human rights, discrimination, and protection of the marginalized. How does the IBC in its work ensure the realization of these principles?
Thank you, Madam, for that question. The Article 10 of the Constitution on the values and the principles is very key, especially to IEBC and even to all of us, because that is an article that we are supposed to comply with. The Article 10 provides for human dignity. It provides for inclusivity. It provides for human rights, respect to human rights. Under that area, it also provides for equity. It provides for equality. It provides for non-discrimination and the protection of the marginalized. With respect to how IBC is going to ensure the realization of that, number one, with respect to inclusive, the process itself is expected to be inclusive, where you include each and everybody. You include those with disabilities. You include both the youth, the elderly. You include those in rural, those in urban, based on religion. That is, you include all the stakeholders, because it's about inclusion and ensuring that no one is being left behind in this process. The issue of human rights, respect to human rights. The human rights as provided for again in the Constitution. It is also one of the values and principles that IBC
Anne, allow me to guide you,
yes,
please. We see, and you have stated those principles very
yes,
well, as set out in Article 10. What I would like you to tell us is how, giving examples, if possible, of how IBC has incorporated these principles in its work. What is it that IBC does that we can see indeed it is realizing the principles in Article 10?
Okay, thank you. How it does, again, I say, for instance, IBC, during even the recruitment, let's even start there, the recruitment of the personnel, it ensures that those principles are adhered to. The other is when we come to its mandate with respect to voter registration, with respect to voter education, with respect to dealing with political parties, when it comes to the issues of capacity building, it is processes. IBC ensure the realization of this article through involving various stakeholders and ensuring that it has made provision like in the relevant laws and the policies that nobody will be discriminated, the persons with the disabilities, ensuring that the marginalized, those in the rural areas, access, for example, during voting, they are able to access the facilities, the polling stations are also there. It ensures that everybody is actually receiving the same services without discriminating anybody. For instance, when IBC is conducting its work, it ensures that all the other, all the various stakeholders, like even during the, let's say the political parties and all that, there is that openness where everybody is not being discriminated against with respect to equity, because that is also at the Article 10 in the same line, equity and equality. That one, it ensures like through the universal suffrage, equality of votes. That one, it has also ensured the realization of this article.
Okay.
I am not saying it
Okay.
has also ensured 100%, because with ISO we say it's about continuous improvement. So whatever is, it's about continuous improvement and making sure we realize total inclusivity, we realize total equity,
So
we
thank
realize
you,
total
Anne, for that.
inequality.
Thank you for that. Let's quickly, in less than a minute, if you could, specifically, how does the IBC ensure the realization of the two-thirds gender rule?
The realization of the two-thirds gender rule is realized in various ways. Number one, in the Act, it says that, like for instance, during the party elections, and even those who are later appointed or nominated to join parliament, to join National Assembly and also the Senate, it ensures that the two-thirds gender rule is actually achieved. For example, when the Constitution provides that we are supposed to have, let's say, the persons with the disability, two are nominated, one is a male, the other one is a female. That is a step, a progressive step in realizing the two-thirds gender rule. The other thing is also in its, like even the recruitment that is ongoing, to ensure that the two-thirds gender rule is complied with and it is observed, such that in its commission and the previous one we saw, there was that realization where the two-thirds gender rule had been complied with. And even now, it also ensures that in the membership that, that are elected, in its regulations, in its guidelines and all that, it has provided that the two-thirds gender rule need to be observed. It is also a principle, one of the principles of the electoral system. It is actually ensuring the two-thirds gender rule, it is complied
Thank you
with.
so much. I think I'm satisfied. Thank you, and I wish you well. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to invite Koki Muli to also ask you some questions. Dr. Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Madam Gashoya,
yes, madam.
Let me bring you to a field that you are extensively experienced, and you have done very good work in ISO, quality assurance and standards. The question I want to ask you relates to two functions of IEBC that many observers and audits have determined that have not been very well done or that can be improved moving forward. This is one of the functions, is the function of providing voter education. And related to education is the training of election officials. These two, voter education and training of election officials, that are key in the delivery of the core mandate of IEBC. Now, should you be nominated to be a member of IEBC, please tell this panel how or what can be done, or how these two functions can be made, being the core or cornerstone of IEBC's work, how they can be effective, efficient, and sustainable, so that we will never have problems with voter education, and we'll never have problems with inadequately trained election officials. This is your area. Just tell us how and what can be done.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. With respect, I truly agree that voter education and the training of election officials is fundamental in order to realize a credible election in this country. The training itself to make them more effective, efficient, and sustainable. One, they should be anchored even in the policy and even in the strategy that IBC has, like in their strategic plan. It has to be anchored that it will be there, so that they are also able to mobilize resources for the same, to ensure that voter education, training of election officials is also done. Number one, something that is very key, it's with respect to the content itself. What is it that IBC want to communicate, and to who does it want to communicate? So the development of the materials that will be used in voter education are training the election officials is very fundamental, so that to ensure that these materials are relevant and they are going to help the relevant stakeholders, because even those stakeholders will need different kind of training. They also need to be approached in a different ways of approaching them, like if it is the youth, if it is the elderly in the rural areas. All that has to be planned. So planning on the voter education and the training of election officials is very key in terms of coming up with the right content. The other thing is the timing. The timing is also very key in order to make them effective. For sustainability, we have said they need to be anchored even in the policy document, in the strategic plan. Like now, even in the ISO, their procedures, they should be having that process of voter education, describing step by step what will be involved. Even the training of officials, that package, the whole process has to be documented so that they are able to follow. The timing is also very good, because sometimes you can train people for 1 day. Is it adequate? 2 days, is it adequate? So the time is also very critical, so that you allocate enough time. That means early planning for this training. It is very fundamental, so that you ensure that they are done properly. The other thing to make them effective, who are even these ones who are conducting these trainings themselves? Are they also understanding what they are also going out to train on? The selection of even the training officials also will matter, so that you are able to select a qualified, those officers with integrity, and those that are going, because those are the ones you take to the training, so that it also becomes effective. And you are using also effective trainers, trainer of trainers or master trainers who also understand the content very well, and they are able to communicate effectively to the recipients. The other thing is on monitoring the voter, that voter education, for instance, or even the training of those officials, even as even those materials are even being, monitoring is continuous, and it should be done at every step of that process, so that the end product, it is good. Because if the monitoring is not done, then there can be a problem. And once you are able to do it at every process, you are able to collect and to improve before something goes on. If, for example, for instance, as a commissioner, I'm able to ensure that these programs are documented in the ISO, it means they'll also be audited. And during the audit, any non-conformity is going to be detected. And once it is detected, it is simple for continuous improvement, so that preventive measures are put in place to ensure that future trainings are also conducted in an effective and efficient manner. After these trainings, there is also need for surveys. Survey and ask the participants, how was the training? Which material do you think was not relevant? Those surveys also help very much, even as you conduct the trainings, because they give important feedback which you are able to use in order to improve, either in terms of content, even in the time, because the recipients themselves, they give very useful feedback, and the use of those feedback is very important for continued improvement. So, madam, should I be appointed as a commissioner, I will ensure that voter education is done, and all the citizens of Kenya are aware of the electoral process, and they are able to exercise their political rights in a manner that is good for the people of Kenya. The training of election officials also must be done in a very structured manner, and in a very good way, so that they are able to deliver to the commission what the commission wants done. Because if it is not done in such a way, it is going to affect the outcome of the election. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Gashoya, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask FCP Tanui to ask you some questions, FCP, please.
Thank you, Chair. And Anne,
yes, sir.
Which standard is the ministry certified? Which ISO standard?
Thank you for that question. The Ministry of Education is certified under the ISO 9001 of 2015.
Thank you. Now, being an expert and being in charge of quality assurance at the ministry, I believe you are aware that even Iebc is ISO certified in as far as information assets are concerned. Can that standard, ISO 9001, apply to Iebc? And secondly, noting the governance challenges that Iebc have had in the past, including the boardroom rupture, the so-called boardroom rupture among the commissioners, can the ISO 9001 help in addressing those governance challenges? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. ISO 9001 of 2015, it's on the quality. It is on delivery of the services. It is on customer satisfaction. It is on focusing on leadership, making informed decision, and effective communication among all others. Number one, I want to say that the ISO 9001 of 2015 is very much applicable to Iebc processes, because Iebc, it is dealing with the stakeholders, the citizens, it's customers, the customers. You see that it is on the delivery of services and improving the processes, improving the system. At Iebc itself, we talk of an electoral system. It is a system in itself. So this ISO is very much applicable, because you find Iebc has different processes. Like it has the voter legislation. That is a process on itself, for just an example. The other process can be, for instance, the delimitation of the boundary. That is a process. So it fits in this ISO of 2015, because it will just be documented. How are you doing this? How are you even registering the voters? How are you tallying when it comes to counting, tallying, transmitting this result? How are you doing this? How are you doing the capacity building? How are you? So that is about ISO 2015. It's about documenting every other stage of the work that you are doing. And once you document that, the auditor now comes to check, are you complying with the standards? Are you, like in communication, also with the resolution of public complaints? It is an aspect in the ISO 9001 of 2015, resolution of public complaints, communication. At Iebc, it actually deals with communication a lot. It deals with dispute resolution. So Iebc will simply be able to document all those processes, are the ones documented and complied with, because you are also complying with the existing legal frameworks like the Constitution, the various acts. You are complying with all those, and as you develop your procedures, you are taking into consideration that.
So
with respect to the question on governance.
Yes, I want you to go there.
Yes, thank you, sir. With respect to question on the governance, number one, it will also be helping because of effective communication. Why sometimes you find internal governance issue, it is because of a lapse in terms of communication, and where people are not working as a team. With ISO 9001 of 2015, it emphasizes on the teamwork, team spirit, because it's a system, and everybody is having a part to play. So everybody must therefore know what is my role. It also emphasizes on clarity of roles and responsibility, where everybody in the system must understand, this is my role, this is my responsibility. And it also requires you communicate the same, effective communication of the same. So with the issue of governance and what happened in the disagreements and all that, if these things were being complied with, that would also have been averted, because it also provides for how you deal with those internal conflicts. Internal mechanisms are established and they are put in place, and everybody is able to understand their role clearly, because sometimes disagreements come when they are conflicting roles and when people are not clear on what are they supposed to do. But once you are able to address that, you are able to eliminate or even reduce any unfortunate thing that might occur. Working as a team and encouraging each member of the team helps so much, because everybody now understands the openness also, openness, transparency. maintaining integrity. This ISO 9001, it's about also the integrity, the values, you uphold the values that are going to create a positive impact to the organization. And why it is a good certification, why it's a good system. It is because now everybody also know, if I don't do my part properly, the outcome, I'm going to affect the whole system. If like now I'm a commissioner and I'm not doing the right thing, I'm able to know that me, myself, if I do the bad thing, it is going to be counterproductive in the whole country. And once people realize that, the impact that it can cause, they are now able to play their role effectively.
I think that is okay with me. I want to wish you well. If you find favor, kindly ensure that IBC becomes ISO 9001, 2015 certified. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Evans Misati to ask you some questions. Evans, please.
Thanks so much, Chair. Me, I want to take you to the figures so that you have explained to my colleagues the other things. You understand about the boundary delimitation when we did it, the 20, which year was it done?
What?
The boundary delimitations.
Sorry?
The boundary delimitation.
Okay.
When was it done? The last one?
2013 there. I can't remember. I don't know.
2012.
20?
2012.
Or 20, yeah.
Are you able to remember the population quota that we were dealing with at the 2012 boundary delimitation?
The population quota?
Yes, in terms of figures.
For a polling station?
No, the population quota by constituents.
I cannot remember that, sir.
Still on figures, I was trying to avoid the words. Now we have 349 members of parliament.
Yes.
And we have 290 constituencies.
Yes.
Please tell this panel the other members where they represent.
Okay, thank you for the question. I also have that is 3. That's 7. Okay, thank you for that question. We have 290 constituencies where the members of parliament are elected by the citizens in various constituencies. To make 349, we have 47 women representatives, each one of them representing a county. We also have 12 other nominated members, and these ones are nominated by the political parties based on their proportional representation. And these 12 represent the persons with disabilities. They also represent, or rather they are drawn from the youth and the workers. We also have the ex officio member who is also in the National Assembly. Have I forgotten any?
Thanks so much, yes, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask Ms. Fatuma Saman to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Madam Anne.
Yes, Madam.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for all the good work you've done at the Ministry of Education. There's clear indication of how you've grown through the ranks from a quality assurance officer to where you are today. The diligence in your work can be seen also in the committees, the task forces, and all those that you sat in and gave your insights. And I would like to, as a fellow educator, to appreciate you. After saying that, I wish to ask you, why is engaging the IEBC considered a civic duty by both state actors and non-state actors?
Thank you, Madam, for the question. It is considered a civic duty because the process, we normally say the process starts the day the president is sworn in. And from that day, IEBC is expected to be undertaking continuous civic education to both state and non-state actors. The state and non-state actors are interested parties or their key stakeholders in the electoral process. Hence, it becomes fundamental for IEBC to undertake its civic role or duty and engage all the stakeholders who have an interest in the whole process. So the stakeholders, that is both the states and the non-state actors, are very key in the IBC process and very civic for this matter. Why? Because for one, their involvement, all of their engagement help create credibility in the whole process. The issue of transparency, accountability, you become, IBC is accountable to both the state and the non-state actors. These are its stakeholders. And it is its duty now to ensure that you are able to engage them at every stage, at every step, so that that kind of working together, that kind of transparency, integrity, you are upholding democracy. It's also part of the democratic process where you are involving. In fact, at Article 232, it talks of involving the people and these stakeholders, these both state and non-state actors. They constitute even the people that you are supposed to uphold. It is also very civic because with these stakeholders, as IBC commission, as the commission, it has also to identify each one of them. It has also to categorize even these stakeholders so that the level of engagement, even as it undertakes its civic duty, it's also known. Because once you do that analysis, once you have identified, once you have analyzed, once you have categorized, you are able even to know these state and the non-state actors. Which ones am I going to involve? Which ones am I going to consult?
Madam Ann, sorry to interrupt you. I want us to focus on the civic duty of the actual stakeholders, both state and non-state, towards participation. You've actually elaborately talked about the civic duty on creating credibility to the process. What else?
The civic duty is actually, it's a broad thing, and it is long term. Broad in the sense that these state and non-state state actors, what you are doing to create this civic education, it's about that participation, their participation in promoting democratic processes. Their participation in ensuring good citizenship, which is part of the civic education. Also, part of civic education, which these state and non-state actors also need to, as a civic duty, it's about the political system. How does the government also work? Because those are civic things that both state and non-state actors, as they engage in this electoral process, they must also be acquainted too, so that they also understand the government, the political systems. How do they work? What about the democratic principles? How about the good governance principles? How about the citizenship issues? And again, some of these are state, non-state actors. Some of them are foreign, international bodies. So it becomes very civic for IEBC to be able to engage all of them at that level to promote that democratic space and to ensure that there is that credibility, because the key thing is about the credibility, the integrity, maintaining the integrity, the credibility of the whole process. And through that engagement, IEBC is able to deliver in its civic duty. Civic duty is like what you cannot actually miss. You can't miss bring the engaging with these stakeholders.
Thank you very much, and I wish you well. Back to you, Chair. Please feel free to take water.
Thank you. I want to invite Nicodemus Bore to also ask you some questions. Nicodemus, please.
Thank you very much. I also want to join my education colleague in congratulating Madam Anne for the work that you're doing in the Ministry of Education and the progresses that you have made in the Ministry of Education to the level of the position of the director. So leadership often requires personal sacrifice for public good. How would you ensure your personal ambition aligns with the national values and the collective good of the Commission?
Thank you for that question. Leadership and integrity, they requires personal ambition. They requires personal willingness, dedication, and commitment. The acts, including the Constitution, the Supreme Law itself, provides that the officers are expected to give selfless service, and all that you do to the public interest. This is where you put aside your personal ambition, you put aside your personal interests, you put aside everything else allowed you for the public interest, for the good of the country, for the good of this nation. So with respect to the various acts, because they repeatedly emphasizes on that commitment, discipline, it is also very key, because you cannot put aside your personal ambition if you are not disciplined. So that aspect of discipline and commitment also helps officers and commissioners, whoever they are, and everybody else who holds a public office, so that all what you are guided by the law. You are guided by also your own conscience, your own values. You uphold the integrity aspect such that they cannot override your personal view, the way you see things, your personal integrity, your personal values. You don't blink them when it comes to your own interest, your own ambition, because should actually be for the good of the country, in the public interest. Like even in our duty, we are guided by saying all what we do in the education sector, the interest of the child are paramount. So whatever decision you are making, you first look at it. How is it benefiting this child? And if you find it's not benefiting the child, then it's not a good thing for the child, because everything that you are doing, every decision that you are making, in the same way as an Iebc commissioner, I would ensure that any decision, any action, I'll be accountable for my administrative actions. And all those actions, the public interest comes first. I would endeavor to ensure that I do everything for the people of Kenya and for the Republic of this country as guided by the Constitution itself, by the Leadership and Integrity Act, by the various acts, the Iebc Act, the Election Act, and all that, because they are very clear on how you are supposed to behave, and more so particularly, not allow yourself to be influenced by anything, nepotism, favoritism, all those things. They should not come in between you and the decisions you make, because you are expected to make objective and impartial decisions that are very independent for the good of the country, in the public interest. So you look at it from that point. Is it good for the public? Is this the best thing? And since you have been entrusted to deliver, there cannot be any other way other than to ensure whatever action, whatever decisions you are taking are to the best interest of the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite Professor Damsolo to ask you some questions, Prof.
Thank you, Chair. Anne.
Yes, sir.
You know, the institution you are going to is a high-profile institution. So I want to ask you a conflict of interest question. What is a conflict of interest in the context of public service, and how is it regulated under Kenyan law, given that you are already serving in a public institution?
Thank you, Professor, for that question. Conflict of interest comes in undertaking of the of work when you have an interest. You have an interest in what is going on. For example, if I'm lucky to be a commissioner, and then we are awarding some tenders, procurement of election materials, and there maybe my brother, my sister, or even myself, I also want to become to supply. Those are conflicts of interest. Or for example, when I become a commissioner and we shall be recruiting the election officials, I have my children, I have my relatives, I have those who come from where I come from. All those constitute conflict of interest because I'm an interested party in the work that I am doing. These are regulated in the law. And they are regulated in the sense that if you happen to find yourself in a meeting or in any place where whatever is being discussed, there is that conflict of interest. My daughter has applied, let's say, for that job. I know that. And the members are discussing whom are we going to give this job as a returning officer. The law regulates this way. It provides for declaration. You declare, and we even leave that meeting so that the deliberations that are going to be made, even by the other commissioners or other officers, it is not being influenced by your presence in that meeting, if it is a tender meeting of procuring election material, just to use that as an example. So if I have a relative and he has also applied, I'm supposed to declare, and even I leave that because the law clearly provides on that. And in any case, you should not have conflicting interest. And even the law, again, it's also very clear because for people with high integrity, especially for educators like myself, who have been tested in terms of integrity as examiners, as what, they have proved that there is nothing that can come in between you and your work, because you have a duty. You have a duty. I'm an examiner, for example, when I was an examiner. Even if you find a paper belonging to somebody, you don't even check. Your values, your integrity are far above, far above, far above. So ideally, as a commissioner, and if I can speak for myself, I can say
30 seconds,
that the integrity would prevail, and the one would be able to declare as provided by law. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Prof, you have some two last questions.
You are an educationist.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this segment, the chair directs us to ask high school questions, being the director of quality assurance.
Sorry, I'm not director quality
Used to be.
assurance. I'm director education. Before I redesignated to education officer, that was the time I served as a quality assurance and the standards officer. I did not a director of quality assurance, an officer of quality assurance at the standards. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the clarification, but it doesn't take away the fact that you are an educationist.
Sure.
The 2010 Constitution, when you look at socioeconomic functions, you'll find that most of the socioeconomic functions were devolved, including health. Education was not devolved. Any reasons, logic, whether technical or political? Why was education not devolved?
Thank you, Prof, for that question. Indeed, and that is Article 43 of the Constitution. And also, when we come to the fourth schedule, that describes the functions of the national government and those of the county government, education was not devolved. Education is a public utility. It's a public good. In my view, education is the pillar. It is the foundation of all these other socio-economic and the political agenda that the country has. So education was not devolved because it had to remain, in my view, a national, because we have a national curriculum. And in the spirit of ensuring inclusivity, equity, equality, and all that.
Let me rephrase it.
Once you devolve it.
Let me rephrase it.
Yes.
Who made education not to be devolved? Who campaigned for education not to be devolved? Let me put it that.
Okay, what was devolved is pre-primary education. The term that is the management of pre-primary education, because with respect to pre-primary education, the children at that level, those
that
are
one
the
I know,
county
ECDs
specific.
and all that.
The stakeholders.
Who are?
Who are the stakeholders who campaigned?
Yes.
Education
know, what I'm trying to get from you.
Yes.
Health, for example, was devolved. And the doctors and nurses and what have you are always saying, take us back to national government. But at that point at a time that there were bombers was happening, they were not there. So who ensured that that's what I want. Who ensured that education was not devolved?
For me, Prof, I would say the education stakeholders.
Okay, thank you.
Are the ones who let's call it lobbying, who lobbied, and they were present in bombers, and they put their case
Mention
forward.
for me the two top stakeholders who are there at bombers in the education sector.
In education sector, I know, like for example, I know the former honorable member of parliament.
No, not individuals.
Not individuals. We had the religious organizations. We had the education development partners. We also had the leadership of the education sector at that time.
Thank you. Let me go to the second one. Name any two countries located in what is known as the Horn of Africa. Ukiangalia hiyo map unaona hiyo horn.
The Horn.
Yes.
Nigeria.
Second one.
The Palejo, Niger.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Ann. We have appreciated your presence and the engagement we have had. We want to thank you for your time. We do know that today was an important day for your sector, and we made you to be here and not to be where your colleagues are today at KICD. So we thank you for your time. I don't know if you have any comment or question to make in a minute, if you can.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is to thank the panelists this afternoon, I think morning, for having me in this session, and also for taking me through this particular interview. I want to also reiterate and say that this process, I know it's very demanding also on your side, and also requires that high integrity, that high values. And I want to pray that God is going to guide this panel even as it sits down, and ensure whatever the conclusion they make, it is for the interest of the public. It is for the good of the country. I'm also here to say that the Kenyans, as we are, there is that awakening, the masses, everybody, if that democratic space, let's say, has increased, and every other citizen is looking upon this selection panel to give them the election. They are trusting, and they are looking forward to having a commission that is beyond reproach in its conduct of affairs, in order to ensure that IEBC vision and the mandate of conducting credible elections is realized. So mine is just to pray that God will give you guidance, will give you wisdom. And for those of us who will find themselves getting an opportunity to serve, let us serve with dedication. Let us serve with commitment. Let us give that selfless service and that call to duty, which all the other citizens in Kenya will be happy, because through this commission in this country, we must bring to an end post-election violence and the disputes and everything. And that will only be done through ensuring free, fair, credible, transparent elections being done.
Thank
And
you.
I once again say, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May God bless you.
Thank you very much. We appreciated your comments, and our colleague at the door will hand you your certificates. Feel free to pick the notebook and the pen. They are yours, and may you have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you, Chair,
Thank you very
and
much.
thank you, panelists.
Asante. Fatuma, how many minutes do you need to pray? How many minutes do you need for prayer? Oh, this is the longer. So we take the candidate, then you go at 2 o'clock? 1 hour's time. Okay, that's fine. 1 hour's time.